Adam, if industrial design were Play-Doh, you'd be that nasty multicolored junk lumped into a single slightly crusty ball.
Thank you very much, Josh, and welcome to Engineer versus Designer,
The podcast.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Josh.
And today we're speaking with our very special guest.
Very special guest.
None other than
the one and only
Mr. Matt Sederberg, founder of a little company called T-Splines,
which, as many of you know, was recently purchased
in a dramatic and fantastic upset
by another itsy-bitsy company called Autodesk.
Yeah, and Josh and I were actually recording next week's episode with Sky Greenewalt when we got the same email that everybody else did announcing the acquisition, and Josh and I were frantically IMing with each other while Sky was talking in the background.
It was rude.
It was really rude, but we were like, what?
What?
Is this crazy?
What?
What do we do?
What?
Is this on Solid Smack yet? Etc.
What?
And then Sky piped up on the other end of the call and he was like, hey, you guys, can we take a break for a minute and talk about this T-Splines thing?
And ever since then, we've been trying to track Matt down to get the full scoop.
Yeah, and so today we have that scoop.
We just had to find out more about the background of T-Splines Inc., how it started, how it grew, and most importantly, the future of T-Splines.
And Josh, I just have to say, man, you look a little bit silly with that hamster hat on, man.
Hamster hat?
Just saying.
Just saying what?
Just saying it looks silly.
This is my favorite hamster hat. I'll have you know, I eat it while eating ham.
Your words.
You're wearing a corset and you're really about to make fun of my hair.
We're gonna have to take this. First of all, Matt, T-Splines, can you just give us a brief overview for those who aren't familiar with what the product is?
Sure. Yeah, so T-Splines is a new way of representing computer models. So I guess many designers are probably familiar with NURBS. It's a technology used in most CAD packages for surfacing. And then if you've watched any like Pixar movies, then you're also familiar with another technology called subdivision surfaces, which is used primarily in the animation industry to model like characters like those in movies from like Finding Nemo or Cars. But what T-Spline says is that it's kind of a hybrid of NURBS and subdivision surfaces that gives the precision necessary for design and engineering, but also gives you the ease of use that animators enjoy when they're making their models with subdivision surfaces.
What's your background, Matt? What do you do?
Oh, well, my background and what I do are probably two completely different things. But
okay,
I studied economics in college, and it was while I was in college that my dad invented T-Splines, and we started the company together. So all of my technical or CAD background just kind of was like a dining room table education.
That's fantastic. Like,
right on. That's very cool.
That's so interesting. I mean, why? So he had this great idea, and obviously not even just a great idea. I mean, it's an amazing accomplishment, a technical accomplishment to figure this stuff out. Why was he not interested in pursuing the idea himself? And then why did you become the person to take this idea and run with it and turn it into a business?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Adam. I mean, so my dad, he's still he's an associate dean at BYU, and he really is a world-class researcher. And I guess he's done a lot of. I mean, you mentioned Free from Deformation or Cage Edit, but he's made a lot of contributions during his career. But he's got to a point where, and maybe most researchers get to this point where they don't. I mean, they just want to do something useful, right? They just want whatever they do to benefit society. And so, when we looked back at kind of the history of CAD, I mean, you have NURBS, which has been around for like 30 years now, and then SubDs came out maybe 10 years after that. But when a technology is invented or discovered at a university, it takes a long time for that to actually get into industry. And we, I guess, just thought that T-Splines was like so clearly the next big thing. We didn't want to like just have it sit around for 10 or 15 years before someone picked it up, but to be proactive about getting that into the hands of users ourselves. And I guess I was the one that was able to to do that because I was young enough that I didn't really understand how hard that is.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask next. You know, starting up your own bootstrap company, as Josh and I well know, is really stinking hard. It is a ton of work, and it's not just a ton of work. It's emotionally difficult. It can be frustrating. Was it purely naivety that made you want to do it, or what was it that drove you to want to be the one to carry this and not to just help your dad find somebody that would do it?
Yeah, that's another good question. Well, at the start we did try to find people, and no one was a good fit. So, and just my personality, like I was really excited for this adventure, but I was more interested in success than necessarily being the star player myself. So I was always really interested in finding someone else that I could pass the baton on to, that could do it better. But no one, it just kind of days turned into years, and we just kind of grew up ourselves.
Well, I mean, and you've built this company up, like you said, for a lot longer than any of us knew. I had no idea that you'd been doing it for so long, nor that it had been such a sleeper for so long. Back in the background, it's really surprising that it took that long, given how important this technology could potentially be, and probably will be now that it's a part of Autodesk. I mean, do you feel in a way like you have succeeded, like there's an accomplishment now, or do you feel like the accomplishment is yet to be done and yet to be seen?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess just to speak to the time, yeah, it is. It's been a long time, and a big part of that has just been waiting for the technology to mature. I mean, we're on the 4th version of the T-Splines code now. And for how nice some of the user interface and user experience parts of the software are, the background, like the underlying technology really is, it's a beast. And so, that was probably the biggest thing holding us back, was just getting that to a point where it was usable.
Oh, cool. So T-Splines quickly established a strong user community. Can you talk about that a little bit, and how it formed, and how it directed the T-Splines development?
Yeah. So first of all, that's flattering that you'd say that. I guess they said that overnight success takes like 10 years or something. There was nothing there for a long time. There were like 3 guys that were willing to post on our forum, and it was. Yeah, it was embarrassing. I mean, some people take their forums down when they have that little amount of traffic, because it's not very flattering to them. But yeah, just over the course of time, more and more people chimed in, and the community became something that was really valuable to us. I guess one of the reasons why the community was important is because our background, like, we were all kind of straight out of academia. So as far as user requirements in various industries, we just didn't have any background there. So that was good to get informed that way. I guess probably one of the biggest ways that our community grew was we were a bootstrap company, so we didn't have a lot of money. So whenever I would want to go travel someplace for a conference or an event, to pay for my trip, then I'd rent out a room nearby and host a T-Splines training session, and then charge people to come. So I was actually able to meet in person a pretty large number of T-Splines users, and so that was neat to have that personal connection that continues.
Definitely. I mean, and so back to the product, for a lot of users, including myself, T-Splines fills a gap between surface modeling and solid modeling. What are some of the comments that you receive from T-Splines users about how it helped them, and what are some of the early designs you saw being used or being created using T-Splines?
Like, we'd have people telling us that they were completing projects in a morning that used to take them a few days, simply because I don't know that the creation of the T-Spline necessarily was a lot faster than creating something with NURBS, but tweaking and editing.
Oh, no, that's not true. It is.
Oh, really?
It's a lot faster.
Okay, well, yes. Yeah. Well, I guess if you're Adam O'Haron, it is faster, but not everyone has that level of skill. But regardless of how fast you create it, the editing and the tweaking is just so much faster in T-Splines than in NURBS. And so that's where a lot of the time savings happen. I mean, other people would just say that the T-Splines, like, they would discover designs that they wouldn't have otherwise. Because the traditional design paradigm, right, is you lay out curves, make those curves perfect, and then kind of create a surface from it and then go back to the curves and tweak them and make another surface. But with T-Splines, I mean, you can start with curves, but when you get a surface, you just kind of push forward from there. You can push and pull on the surface and explore highlights and tweaks. And as far as like early designs that we saw, the very first physical model that we ever saw that was made in T-Splines was a really organic branching ring. And this Brazilian designer sent it to us because he was one of the first 3 guys that would hang out on our forums. And it was the coolest experience to hold something in our hands that had been designed using our software. I think especially since like the validation that this software actually worked and actually helped people was really exciting.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that the greater control over your surfaces and more flexibility with solids is a big desire for both engineers and designers, and T-Splines set the possibilities of this in motion. For sure. How is a technology like this changing what we're able to do, and what's the potential for future CAD apps?
Well, I mean, the longer that we've been in T-Splines, one thing that's really come to the forefront is that you can the models that you can make with T-Splines, it's possible to do those using NURBS or other technologies. But what T-Splines makes possible is that like the occasional or the casual user can all of a sudden make the type of really free-flowing organic designs that used to be the territory of advanced like career surfacing people. So that's really kind of the exciting thing that we have for the future. And I guess specifically with his acquisition, that's a vision that Autodesk shares, is that ability to kind of give the occasional or the casual user a chance to just make better designs. That's something we're really excited about.
Well, so that's a big part of it, definitely, in terms of making freeform organic surface modeling easier for people. But I think for those of us who are pretty advanced surfacing users but still value T-Splines, it's much less about the learning curve than it is about the product itself. And so for me in my work, and for other people I've spoken with, the beauty of T-Splines has really been about interoperability between all these different 3D packages that we have. It lets me work with sub-D and NURBS and parametric solid modelers all together using T-Splines as a connector between them. And a lot of people were really looking forward to having a full-blown T-Splines for SolidWorks, not just because we want to use it in SolidWorks, but again, because it lets us work back and forth between SolidWorks and Rhino and Modo in my case, or other sub-D modeling packages. What are the possibilities of that still happening now that it's an Autodesk product?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So T-Splines is, it's kind of a Rosetta Stone, right? Like it's a way to get from a lot of places and back into a lot of places. And as far as future products, so all of us at T-Splines and at Autodesk are really excited about the potential in making the process of design more approachable. And we're still evaluating kind of what that future holds.
Yeah. So there are lots of possibilities with T-Splines and Autodesk products, I'm sure. Will T-Splines be implemented across the Autodesk product line, or will we see some labs projects or plugins first?
Probably. Unfortunately, I've got to stick with that same answer from last time. That there's a lot of excitement about the possibilities here, and I wish I could comment more.
Yeah.
You're being very, very good, very good and political. Thank you. So, but seriously though, if you could, I know that a lot of people listening to this will really want to hear your voice talking about what is potentially a difficult issue. And what would you say to the big fans of T-Splines, myself included, that we're really looking forward to the next versions of their software plugins and now are really worried that they're just going to be abandoned?
Yeah, so honestly, Adam, I appreciate the chance to be on your show and talk about that a little bit, because this is definitely something that's been on my mind. And I guess what I want to say is that I'm more excited about the future of T-Splines than I've ever been. Many people are surprised at how small T-Splines Inc. really was. At the time that we sold to Autodesk, there were only six full-time guys working there.
Wow.
And that core team had been around for about 7 years. But I mean, so at T-Splines Inc., then there was never a shortage of like really cool technology ideas to do. But being a bootstrap company, the challenge was always like really picking which opportunities do we go after, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last year was a really interesting year for us, and we took a long look at a lot of different directions of where we could go with our company. And there were a few options that materialized during the year, and one of those was this offer from Autodesk. And they shared a vision with us of how they see design and engineering in the future. It was impressive, it was exciting, and just the most surprising thing was that it aligned almost exactly to our vision. And so when we saw that, anyway, it was just really interesting. And because for us, I mean, our ambition was never about making T-Splines Inc. as powerful as it could become. Our ambition, our highest ambition, I guess, was always to get T-Splines in the hands of as many users as possible. And since Autodesk acquired T-Splines, and the potential of T-Splines to impact designers and engineers just got supercharged, and that's something that we're really excited about. So I guess to the designers and engineers, we think that the future is really exciting. I mean, selling your company is a really emotional thing, and it's not something that you wake up one day and you're like, I'm going to sell my company, and then you move on with your life and like that. I mean, it's an emotional thing. But I guess we got to a point where we felt like the technology was proven, and so the next step is to kind of prove the business case for it, like build, and so that would involve ramping up our company, like just really ramping up the sales and all of that, or a chance to be acquired came along, and so I guess I feel like we did succeed in improving the technology, and that was originally what we set out to do. And so now it's really exciting to still be pushing forward and to really have a chance to have a lot more resources that are interested in T-Splines to get out to more people.
So the current version of T-Splines has been put up back on the site for people to download. Is that correct? I mean, people can still get the current version of T-Splines.
Exactly. Yeah, you can still get the trial versions on our site. We're working to get both T-Splines for Rhino and TS Elements up on the Autodesk store.
Great. So when will that be happening?
Soon.
Pretty soon.
That's one of my big priorities and responsibilities right now.
Well, friends, we're out of time yet again. Matt, having you on the show has been even better. And that time, Josh scanned my nostrils and reverse engineered some tiny mittens for them. Thank you for being on the show with us this week. And I believe Josh is having a tea party with his favorite dolls right now, so I'll just run these credits real quick. If you'd like to acquire EVD, please make out all checks to Adam, and I'll make sure that Josh gets his cut. I promise. Engineer vs. Designer needs your comments on our internet website. If you listen to the show, head over at EngineerVsDesigner.com and let her rip. And if you'd like to keep this show off the air, please be sure to like us, +1 us, tweet us, or whatever else, as social media has been correlated with never getting any work done. Our theme music is by Ross Hartman. We'll see you next week. And remember, without engineers, designers would still be awesome. Without designers, engineers would still suck. What? Sweet victory.